Hi, my name is Jonathan Mark. I'm with Flyby News, and it's an e-zine that's online since 1997 that started by exposing the high-risk Cassini Earth flyby, which was a NASA space probe that had 72.3 pounds of highly radioactive plutonium on board and came by Earth whizzing by at 10 miles per second. This is my paranoid shift. This is when I started realizing that we were being threatened by very crazy people. John Goffman, one of the founders of the plutonium group, said that the use of nuclear power in space is organized insanity. And I agree. And Carl Grossman was my inspiration back then, and he was exposing me to the U.S. Space Command's website that showed very clearly that they were planning on dominating the world by taking over and putting weapons in space. So Flyby News from the Cassini flyby was first trying to stop the weaponization of space, and 9/11, election thefts, all these things happened all at once, and we're still struggling to get rid of the weapons that are above us. And even though just recently, Carl Grossman just did another article that was published at Flyby News regarding Obama now supporting the use of nuclear power in space. So we haven't gone far in all these years, and we're still trying. Today with me is my guests, Leonard Horowitz and Sherri Kane. Leonard Horowitz we came across with Valley 9/11 Truth in 2006 when we showed his film, In Lies We Trust. This was an awakening moment for me because I was paranoid enough from plutonium in space and everything else, and then finding out that the health professionals around us and doing vaccines were really doing more harm than good. And they produced a new film called Pharma Whores, The Countersting of Penn and Teller, and they're showing it this evening in Northampton, and it's going to be at the station and available at pharmawhores.com, pharma like PH, like pharmaceutical. And I'm going to just ask you both for a brief introduction about yourselves, Leonard Horowitz and Sherri Kane, and how you got involved with this film.
Well, Sherri, go first.
Well, I actually used to work with Fox. I defected from Fox because I didn't believe in their politics, and as a journalist, I'm a writer. I thought that the way that they treated the writers was very controlled, and I didn't really know a lot about what was really behind the dark side of it. And then after working there for a while, I investigated it, and I saw that there was a lot of really, really bad people that were controlling the media, and also the way the people's minds, because people, when they watch the media, they're manipulated by what they see. And then I started writing about politics. So I started during the election, for instance, of Barack Obama. I was out there telling people basically this is all a hoax. When women would be feigning in the audience, Barack Obama would be preaching and say, oh, this one is the one, this person is the one, and I would be out there just saying, hey, don't listen to what the mainstream media is telling you, this is all a hoax, and they're all the same, they all work for the same people. And the mainstream media likes to put it as a Republican-Democrat thing to separate the people so they can divide us and conquer us. And so I was really disgusted with everything that was going on, and 9/11, when that happened, that made me really nauseous, because I knew right away that it was definitely George Bush and Dick Cheney involved in it somehow, and I went to investigate that, so I started writing about that, and still to this day people don't really believe it was an inside job. But I met Dr. Horowitz in my journey through where it's taking me, and finding the truth more on a spiritual journey, and I met him more on that path, and that's where we hope that everything's going to go, because we don't really want to deal with this negative stuff forever. We want everybody pretty much to wake up and see the truth. And I saw the work that he was doing, where he exposes a lot of the corruption, the government corruption, and the vaccination pharmaceutical cartel and their corruption, and I was really interested. I started researching some of his work after I met him, because he proposed that we might work together, and I said, it's definitely something I'm interested in. And after learning more about him, I said, this is definitely something I want to do. I felt like I needed a purpose. I felt like it was really in my destiny to do something for humanity, and I saw him as a great humanitarian in the work that he was doing. So I gave up everything that I was doing and said, I'm just going to work with you right now and write with you and just research with you and just find out and get to the bottom of it, because he's really exposing the people on the highest levels of corruption, the people that nobody wants to touch, like the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds and the Illuminati, and he was doing it pretty much alone. I mean, there's other people that are also in there doing the same thing, but he was writing alone, he was doing all the research alone. I said, wow, I would just love to be able to contribute to that so we can reach out to a larger audience. And that's what we've been doing ever since. And it started in probably, I guess, in probably June of last year, and then full-time September on.
So besides this film,
So Pharma Whores was a film that we just started collaborating on. It fell on our lap, really. Penn and Teller produce it. Well, actually, their producers produced a TV show for them called Bullshit on Showtime. It's
Penn and Teller's Bullshit.
Penn and Teller's Bullshit. And so they came to expose him for his alternatives because they wanted to make an episode on vaccination, since they're pro-vaccination, and the people they're working for, like Sumner Redstone, Rupert Murdoch, these are all people involved also with stocks in the pharmaceutical cartel. So a movie came out of it. It was just like, let them bring it on. Bring on your cameras, come and interview us, because they wanted to interview us in separate rooms.
Yeah. This past January, they were literally stinging every single major anti-vaccination person, everybody that was basically whistleblowing on Big Pharma and the mercury toxicity, the skyrocketing rates of autistic spectrum disorder in our youth, in our children, and that the researchers and the activists that were at the forefront of exposing this, what amounts to genocide, that's making money off of humanity's suffering, including our own children and our future generations. Well, those people were being targeted, and so Showtime scheduled a Penn and Teller Bullshit program to come and sting me, and we counter-stung them. We set them up for a counter. We
had our cameras rolling when they came. They wanted to interview us in 2 separate rooms because I was a journalist working with him, and we were really getting our voice out there, and that's the way the mainstream works. If your voice is getting really loud, then they want to pretty much stomp it out. And so that's what happened. It was getting more and more people on board with what we were doing and how we were exposing the pharmaceutical industry and their corruption. And so
the top officials, I mean, we're not talking about, people who are management. We're talking about the highest levels of people who literally pay for Showtime. Sumner Redstone, Rothstein-Redstone.
Sumner Rothstein-Redstone. Rothstein is his actual real last name. Yeah. So he changed it to Redstone.
Yeah, so these are the guys that are really pulling the strings. They're like the wizards behind the curtain in the mainstream media. And people have no clue that those same wizards are heavily invested through Goldman Sachs and the private equity investments in every single crisis, in every single crisis. Capitalism is what it amounts to, from 9/11 to the H1N1 swine flu to all these frights and all these hideous events that their industry is built upon. Right. And who's making the money? If you follow the money, you always end up at the same wizards behind the curtain.
So we had already been working on a whole thing with the affidavit filed again to the FBI for the Partnership for New York City, which exposes the people on the highest levels. It's
I filed an affidavit to get the FBI to investigate what Sherri and I had been uncovering, which is hideously incriminating. And so I wasn't expecting the FBI to do anything, but legally and officially, I was compelled to do that as a public servant.
Was that regarding the H1N1 fabrication and the vaccination?
Yeah, it was also regards to 9/11, because the Partnership for New York City are actually the people in charge of rebuilding the World Trade Center. They're in collaboration with Larry Silverstein Properties, who leased the World Trade Center 6 weeks before it came down, and then he also took out an insurance policy shortly before that.
Right. So with General Electric, having to do with the money from the financial losses of New York and New York City from the 9/11 tragedy to the reconstruction of the World Trade Towers. That's what the Partnership for New York City, co-founded by David Rockefeller. He's actually the honorary chairman